Right. We should be on.
Good.
And if we aren't,
But fuck it.
don't care anymore.
No.
So, welcome back to Strongman Highs. Dash. Life is a mishmash.
You nailed it.
Got it right that time.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Take it slow.
I know. I just
Yeah.
need to think about what I'm saying before I say it.
That's it.
Tricky thing for me to do.
It's difficult, isn't it? It's easier to just to let it all out.
Yeah, I just word vomit. Word diarrhea all the time.
Mostly, I think far too much about what I'm going to say.
Yeah, you're
And then people
more-
get bored.
You're a ponderer, aren't you?
Yeah.
Pondering thoughts.
Well, otherwise, I'm just very offensive. If I just said what was on my mind, people wouldn't appreciate it.
No, I think you should just say it.
Filter. Gotta filter that.
Funny. Anyway, we're back.
Hi.
We have a new mic setup, so everything should, fingers crossed, should sound a lot better. Big shout out to Lewis Ford for helping me on Instagram not kill myself while trying to sort this out.
Legend.
Very useful information. And yeah, it should hopefully improve the sound quality and you won't want to die while you're listening to us anymore.
Yeah. Or scream when you laugh.
That's a good point, yeah. I'm very sorry for everyone who probably had many heart attacks every time that I laughed. I'm going to make a conscious effort not to laugh as much.
Don't laugh ever.
Never again.
No.
Okay.
I'm allergic to laughing. It sets off my asthma.
Oh God.
So-
Oh no, I've already broken it. Oh no, now you're
Oh,
off.
I'm going to have an asthma attack.
Oh God.
Shit.
Can't be a natty now then.
Never a natty, mate. Never a natty.
Anyway, so today's episode, we're going to discuss about water cuts. Water cuts. And do our serious bit about that, and then obviously we'll get onto the silly goose bit at the end, as usual. But yeah, we thought today would be a good day to discuss the cutting of water from your body.
Since there is an excess of water outside.
There is an excess of water outside. So what happens when there's not an excess of water in your body?
I guess you die.
Pretty much, yeah. So for anybody, again, who doesn't know what water cutting is, it's basically where in Strongman we have weight classes. So you can compete at that weight class. It's usually a 24-hour weigh-in, which is pretty good. And a water cut is cutting some of your water weight out of your body before that 24-hour weigh-in so that once you've weighed in, you can gain the water back. You haven't actually lost any body fat or muscle. You've just lost water, so you can rehydrate and you can actually compete at a heavier weight than your weight class, which in turn should benefit your strength. Potentially.
But doesn't always work out like that, does it?
No. I think there's that whole mass move mass thing, but I think Strongman is actually moving away from that more.
And getting
more
a
and
bit
more.
smarter.
Yeah, getting a bit smarter. And I do think over the last couple of years, some people have got a bit cleverer around water cuts. Because I feel like a few years ago, water cuts, well, I mean, especially with any sport, really, water cuts are just like, I'm just going to stop drinking water now for 3 days and see how much water I can lose.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see what you mean.
Like, it's become more of a scientific, like, people actually think about what they're doing.
They do, but I
before they
think
do
in
it.
the same breath, they take it too far as well. There's always going to be that gang, though, isn't there?
There's
the ones
always
that
going to be them.
Take the piss out of their mortality a little bit.
Yeah. So, I think, should we do our personal experiences on water
Well,
cuts?
that's all we really know. So,
Well,
yeah.
exactly.
Crack
Again.
on. And, like, you can actually have some input here.
I know. I've actually been done water cuts.
Whoa.
Been done them.
Been done.
Been done.
Been day today.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've water cutted a lot. I think I did 6 last year. And I'd done 1 in when I first began Strongman back in 2021. That was my first ever water cut I did. I actually did it for Preston's Strongest Woman under 82. I was one of 2 athletes. So I'm glad I did that water cut.
Oh my
It was so
God.
good. And I obviously listened. I'd actually listened before I knew you as like friend. I'd listened to you and Donna and a few other people on podcasts saying like, oh, when you first start Strongman, just go into like the weight class that your body's already sat in. Don't worry about cutting down any weight in your first year. And I listened to that and thought, that's a really good idea. I'm going to ignore all of that advice. And I'm going to cut down into under 82 because how hard can it be? And it was really hard and I hated it and it was awful, which then is why I went into the Opens for 2022.
Yeah.
So I did my full year in the Opens, even though I was a fairly small Open. But that's because of that one traumatic water cut in 2021.
I think there's always going to be that one, isn't there, that you learn from and do better.
Yeah, definitely.
For the majority, some people still do bad continuously, but it's funny, innit? Like, you try and send out this message that it's really not a good idea. I think the way that competitions are set up, like, there shouldn't really be weight class in anything that's not national or a qualifier for a national or an international.
Yes.
Because otherwise, it's like, it's amateur level, and what are people doing at amateur level? They're trying to gain some experience and confidence in competing. So if there was just weight classes in these amateur competitions like Preston Strongest or fucking East Midlands Strongest or whatever like that, it should be first time as novice, intermediate, pro.
Yeah.
And they're all open contests, and the weights get lighter as you go down the scale. Like, first timers is obviously going to be the lightest, but that's the only reason anybody ever does a water cut, because they're like, well, I'm not strong enough to do the weight class that I'm actually sat in.
So I'm gonna go
I will be
down.
more confident in my ability to gain points in this competition if I cut weight, but at what cost? Like, I'm cutting weight and I'm potentially losing an awful lot of energy.
I agree with you to a point, but then I play devil advocate, but then I'm also going to completely go back on myself by saying this, is doing it like not at national level or international level. If you just did like Preston Strongest and it was weight classes, that then gives people the opportunity to attempt a weight cut before then going into a bigger competition.
A big jobby.
But then turning myself back on that,
it's always on the day, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
but also if you're not ready to do a national level competition in a weight category, then like you should just be doing more comps anyway. Just do inters, do inters or do opens, and just do them until you feel confident enough to then go to that national level and do a water cut, because that would sort of then stop people doing water cuts for novice comps, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But I see both sides again. Grey area.
Yeah, it is. It's everybody can just do whatever the fuck they want, because it's not like nobody's governing this sport.
Yeah, it's a bit. I agree with you.
It's just dodgy in it. But the same, like in any sport where there's a weight class, in fighting, in weightlifting, in powerlifting, it's all gonna have the piss taken out of it, and people are gonna stretch themselves as far as they can.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's human nature. You want, like, the whole drug talk last time, people will do what they feel they have to do to get to the top.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, and you're always going to get those outliers that always take it a little bit further than is
and that's
sensible.
fine, because, you know, I've done that. You've just admitted that you've done the water cutting thing, and even knowing that it was a bad idea in the first place. But, you know... It's not that dangerous if you're close enough to your weight class.
I agree. So the general rule that I've always gone by is I'd never go over 8% body weight. So whatever my body weight is at the starting point, 8% of that, I would never go above that. And 8% is my very maximum. I've heard people say 10. I feel like that's probably more applicable for men over women.
Oh, totally, yeah.
But even so, saying that, I think 10 is an excess.
I think it's huge. I would have said 5.
Yeah, so what my best performance is when I've done 5 and below. 8, whenever I've had to do, like, big cuts. Like, I can't remember what my biggest ones were. Usually, like, if I get to about 84, 85 kilos, I know I'm pretty good. And, like, depending on the weather and... like what my setup for the comp is, like what time I'm weighing in, what time the first event starts on the next day. From 84, 85 kilos, I know I've got a pretty easy ride.
Yeah.
Anything getting above that, like 86, 87, I know I'm in for a hard roll.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's not going to be fun times. Like Europe's, I think I started Europe's at like 86.8 or something. I was high. I was super high, and I knew it was a bad crack. And I think I made the weigh in at like 81.9, and that was after
God.
sitting in a car for 5 hours driving down.
I don't think you were the one that had the worst time there, though.
I definitely wasn't the worst one at Europe's, that's for sure. There was some excessive weight cuts for Europe's last year, and I think it was really, really silly to the point where, like, doctors were involved and people were not getting...
I'm going to put this out there. I don't think that there should be IV bags provided by an event organiser, because that's just allowing people to take the piss.
I agree. I got an IV after Europe's, mainly just because I wanted to see what one was like, and it felt like I was taking drugs, and it was so cool.
Oh my God.
But I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like. It was nice. I don't think I noticed any benefit from it. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
It was 60 quid. Like it took a while. The people who
I'd
did
rather
it were
go
lovely.
and have a nice fucking steak
Yeah,
and a bottle of wine for 60 quid.
Looking back now,
Not that that's the best idea after you've just cut a load of weight. Go and eat a steak and drink a bottle of wine.
probably not. No.
Imagine though,
water, maybe.
you'd be so pissed.
So drunk.
You'd be
I don't think you'd be able
absolutely
to do
wrecked.
what. I think you'd do one glass and you'd be like, I'm outie, mate.
Yeah.
I would. One glass of wine on a normal day is usually enough for me. To get a bit loosey-goosey. But yeah, no, I think the IV drips, I get a lot of people say that they make a lot of difference after a water cut. And obviously, if comps aren't going to provide them, then people are going to bring their own, aren't they? Which then creates the problem of having just randos jabbing people for IV bags. But
there, again, if you're an event organiser, you have the ability to stipulate what is allowed and what's not allowed. And if there are people bringing their own, air quote, medical professionals with their own IV bags, you can just outright say there is absolutely no needles allowed in this venue. There is no IV bags allowed in this venue. Nobody is allowed to do that within these boundaries of this competition.
I think you'd have problems banning needles at Strongman comps.
Yeah, well, there's a funny thing, isn't there? I mean, it should be banned at UKNS, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't get much. Well, I haven't had any benefit off an IV bag, so I don't have a strong opinion on it, because if they banned it, I would be like, okay, didn't bother me
makes
anyway.
no difference.
Like,
Yeah,
save me 60
but
quid.
some
won't
people
it?
are relying on it.
Yeah, some people are relying on it, but I think, again, if you, well, using an IV bag, you are rehydrating yourself better than you would potentially do just rehydrating yourself by drinking water and like diurite and stuff. But it's an accessibility thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah. What if you spent all of your savings on getting to that final, and then you've got to pay out an extra 60 quid and you think, I just can't afford to stretch that much further. I'm going to do it myself.
Well, it's just too...
I think it's
too
bollocks,
unregulated,
personally. That's
Yeah.
my honest opinion. I think that is bollocks. I don't think that there should be, as a service provided, a world final or, international competition. There shouldn't be IV bags
Yeah, fair
provided.
enough.
There shouldn't be, apart from, emergency medical staff
Yeah.
in the event of somebody throwing a fucking whoopsie.
Yeah.
Like, of course they have to be present.
And have
But
kit, yeah.
if you go into a fucking whoopsie because you fucked up your water cut, I think you should have to trot it to the fucking A&E.
Get yourself to A&E, lads, you'll be fine.
If you break a leg underneath a car carry, fair enough.
Yeah.
Here's some ambulance crew. We're going to ship you off to fucking hospital because, oh, Jesus Christ, we're going to deal with that. But
Yeah.
if you couldn't get to a point where you're close enough to wait 24 hours out from the competition and then cut the rest of the water and make weight, if you put yourself in a vulnerable position, I'm afraid, pains me to say because it's harsh, but it's my honest opinion. I think you're a fucking numpty and you should have to go to hospital yourself and deal with it yourself.
Yeah, I do sort of agree.
Because we're all adults here. None
Yeah.
of us are children. We all have personal responsibility, and I think that gets forgotten about sometimes.
Oh,
and we
yeah.
like to blame other people and rely on other people and rely on an organisation whose responsibility it is not to recomposition somebody after they've lost too much body weight in water.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
And then
I'm
what if
sort of
that went
inclined to agree
wrong?
with you.
You know, that service is provided by the organiser. What if that goes wrong?
It is
and
a
what if they
tricky-
overhydrated? Because that's a thing. You know,
Yeah.
people finishing marathons
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
overhydrate and then they die.
Yeah.
Whose fault was it?
No, exactly.
It's not the water manufacturer's fault, is it?
No.
It's because you drank too fucking much, or you sweated too much.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's an interesting like phenomenon in strength. Well,
Just in
sports at the
sport, it's
moment.
really, really weird. The lengths that people will go to, that I've gone to, without even knowing the detrimental effects.
Do you want to give some explanation as to
I guess
your
let's
water cuts? You
discuss
do your
our
personal.
own experiences. When I first started out in the sport, there was no such thing as 64s, 73s, 82s. There was only opens or under 75s in this country, so that's what I was doing. I was under 75 and I was comfortable under 75, but not comfortable under 70. When I used to kickbox, I took 2 fights which were about 65 kilos, and they were brutal. Like, I looked like very, very emaciated, cheekbones popping right out. It was not a good look.
You're very tall, aren't you?
Yeah, it was not. That's the problem. Like, the lasses that I came up against in the ring were like up to my shoulders,
Yeah. You're like, hang on a minute.
and they were like a little bit fat as well. I'm like, oh,
Oh God.
I wish I could eat something that's not cabbage soup.
Oh God.
That
that's
was
awful.
the thing then, yeah. Just eating cabbage soup. So, yeah. I was comfortable at 75. I was not comfortable trying to make weight for this. What had happened, I qualified for the world final, which was the only, apart from Arnold's, it was the only world championship, and now it's known as WHEA. And you usually have to go to Norway or Finland or something like that. I had to go to Finland. So I qualified as an under 75 to make the final for the under 70 kilogram women's. It was really cool though, because Olga was there. That was the first time I'd ever met her. She was so like fresh faced, young.
Yeah.
And what's his name? The other Ukrainian guy. I don't watch
Pavlov.
Strongman. No. Name another one.
Kordiaka.
No. Novikov.
Novikov.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go. We got there.
Got there in the end.
Yeah, he
Till we
was
follow the
competing
men.
as well. So it was, yeah, couldn't give a shit.
Sorry, boys.
Sorry, lads. But you know, I'm only looking out for myself.
Fair. Same.
So if you're against any of my athletes, I might know who you are, or I'll definitely know who you are if you're paying me.
Yeah. Fair
The
enough.
end. So yeah, so I water cut for this occasion for the thing in Finland. So I was flying out. I was probably about 74 kilograms, and quite lean as well. So I was taking clenbuterol to try and shift a little bit of fat, a little bit of chub off.
Yeah.
Cut down as much as I could. I think at the time I was told that growth hormone also helps reduce body fat. So I'd done like a very low dosage of that, but it never again because of the injection. It was awful. Even just going into my like belly fat, I couldn't. I felt like a smackhead. I just didn't like the whole process of it.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So I cut as much body fat as I could leading up to that, and then started water cutting. I had no idea what I was doing really. I didn't do the water loading. I just did cutting. So I just cut out water and I was spitting and taking diuretics to try and piss everything out as well. So yeah, we got an early flight from Newcastle Airport, and I was having like espresso shots because that makes you flush out a little bit of urine.
Yeah.
And it was also keeping me like on board
Alive.
and able to pay attention to what was going on in the airport and where I was fucking going. And then I got a little cup. I got like a big packet of Airways chewing gum. I got a little like takeout coffee cup, and I was just shotting in some chuddy, and it makes you produce saliva. So anytime
Yeah.
it was produced, I was spitting it out.
Yeah.
I think I spat about 2 full cups out, and I felt like I think I did hot baths as well before I got on the flight.
Ooh.
Before we left that. Yes. So I got down to a decent weight, maybe 72, with hot baths, and then we went to the airport, and then I was doing the rest in spit cups and like pissing out a little bit with coffee. But I had no way of checking what I was losing other than the measurement in the cups, so they were probably about 200 mils, these coffee cups. So I did 2 of those, so that's like almost half a kilogram.
Yeah.
And I was shitting myself. And then by the time we got to the hotel, like, it was such a long journey. There was a long ass fucking journey on a bus as well to get to the hotel.
Yeah.
I was like 2 kilograms under.
Yeah.
I'm like, what was the point in all of that?
Well, I think as well, like, looking at the amount in the cup, if you're thinking like, oh, that's only 200 mils, but you forget that you're also sweating and you're also pissing.
Yeah.
And so even if that's only 200 mil in a cup, you're still losing anyway, other ways. But I guess if you didn't know what you were doing...
No, I had no idea. That was the first time I'd done all of that.
You do a bit of a panic mode, don't you?
Yeah, you do. It's
and
emergency, yeah. All of it. All of it. Side effects, no idea. Didn't feel dramatically bad, but...
I was going to say, what did you feel like once you weighed in and you re-fed and rehydrated?
The issue
did you
was,
feel okay?
we were in a like, poorly... It was a crap old hotel, so it was poorly accommodating, like, if it's out of meal times, there's no food available around you. And we were in this, like, nothing town where nobody had... Like, nothing was open.
Yeah.
There was nothing. There was, like, a pizza shop.
Yeah.
And that was it. So I think I didn't recomp very well at all. And, like, I was absolutely knackered the next day, because obviously we had to compete, like, the next day.
Yeah.
I didn't feel good at all.
And how
But,
did the comp go?
like, I came second. It wasn't too bad. I think... Had all of that not had to take place, I probably would have been a bit more relaxed about it. And there was a lot of mistakes that I made, but that was like...
At the very beginning,
that was my 4th competition.
Yeah, so there was already
and that was the
a lot
first
going
time
on.
I'd had to leave the country, apart from when I went to Scotland, which qualified me for it.
So, well, it's quite tricky to say whether your performance was impeded by that
I think
cup.
that it was the stress. I don't like travelling so much.
No.
I think it was being in a weird place where there wasn't much food available.
Yeah.
And a huge lack of experience.
Fair enough.
Competition number 4.
Yeah, that is very early on to have done, like, to fly and do a big water cut. And everything else about that.
I came second, though.
I mean, that's a very good result, to be fair.
Yeah.
Solid result. Yeah.
What are yours?
Well, mine have all, like, they go through phases where, well, they're all pretty good, to be fair. I'm not going to lie. I've had better ones and I've had harder ones. Europe's was a pretty hard one. But when I say pretty hard, like, I wasn't passing out or anything. Like, I was fine. I concentrated enough that I managed to drive from my house into the centre of London, park my car, walk to a weigh-in and get weighed in.
I'd say that's pretty... easy.
So I was pretty, like, I wasn't cognitively impaired by the walk. Like, I could survive. My best one ever was UK's last year, the Natty UK's. And it was in Galway, and the weigh-in was at 2:00 in the afternoon. So we'd travelled the day before weigh-in. I knew that there was a gym nearby that had a sauna. So my plan, I changed the way that I'd usually water cut, and I decided to water load the day before the weigh-in instead, because obviously later weigh-in, I wanted to have the least amount of time dehydrated. So I water loaded while we were travelling, and I travelled with Heather, and it was great crack. It was like 13 hours in the car though, like a really long time, but it was also like 23 degrees. It was so hot.
Jesus.
So I drank, I think it was 8 litres of water, and I think I started the morning of travel off at about 84.5, around there. I was already low.
Yeah.
And I did the 8 litres. We got to the place. It was like 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night when we got to Galway. And I stepped on the scale and I was 82.1 because I'd just obviously been sweating and pissing all day. And like, even though I was putting that water in,
Yeah.
it was just coming straight back out. So I just basically flushed it all out. So then at that point I thought, well, I'm sitting pretty now. Like, I'll just stop drinking now. Went to bed, got up the next morning. I was under, I think I was 81.7 or something. And bearing in mind, weigh-in wasn't till 2. So I was like, well, I'm going to have a coffee and a bit of juice.
Yeah,
like,
good lass.
no point in, like, I still had the option of the sauna, and unfortunately Heather wasn't anywhere near the weigh-in. I don't think she'll mind me saying this, but she wasn't closing in on it, so I knew we were going to go sauna anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a coffee, had a bit of water and that. I felt fine. And then yeah, we went to the sauna. I went in emotional support sauna for a little
Good
bit.
lass.
And then I think I weighed in at like, I think I was 81.7, 81.6. I was lower than I'd planned to be, because I always, if I'm weighing in, I'm hitting 81.9. I'm not going any lower than that.
No.
But yeah, that was my easiest one, where I wasn't really thirsty. I didn't really struggle. Like, it was, the water loads did all of the work for me. I didn't have to concern myself with anything. But yeah, that was my best one. So bring back afternoon weigh-ins. That's what I say.
Yeah, I agree.
Fuck them 9 o'clock weigh-ins off. I want to weigh in the afternoon, but then I also want to start competing at 2 o'clock the next day too. Afternoon comps for me, please.
And like quick as well. Like if it started at 2.
Well, that was the thing. We were finished by... When did we finish? It was 3 hours, so we finished at 5.
I think this is like one of my favourite things about UKNS comps.
Oh,
They're just so fast to
it was
run through.
so
There's no
good.
fucking about.
Nah.
We're not going to take a 2-hour lunch break.
Nope.
God.
Straight into the next event.
Yeah.
Like that... I mean, it was hard. I'm not going to lie, it was hard work, that UK's, because of the heat. I mean, I think it was 25 degrees or something all day, and the main battle became me against heat stroke towards the end of the day. But like 6 events done in 3 hours.
That's nice, that.
It was mint, and like it's great as well because you don't have to warm up for everything. Like, you're not waiting, you're not peaking your excitement levels and dropping them back down.
There's so many benefits from that. You know, you all get to have the rest of the day to yourselves.
Yeah.
You didn't spend 9 hours in a venue spending £1 million fucking pounds on garbage burgers
and vending machines.
If there's an audience, they're not bored shitless because it's lasted too fucking long.
Yeah, because they're like, what's going on? Everything's flying.
Yeah. A football game, how long does that last? 90 minutes? It's so simple to watch, though. You know, you get it. So, like, if they only get 90 minutes because their attention spans are too short, then maybe Strongman spectators, they don't want to sit around for 6 hours.
I agree. I understand the logistics of running a strongman competition quickly, though, is very tricky.
You need a lot of volunteers.
Yeah, you need a lot
of organisational skills, but also you just need to fucking stick to it.
Yeah, and picking events that can be run simultaneously and not messing about. But yeah, no, UK's last year was absolutely mint. If we can have that whole thing again this year, that would be fantastic.
But I think that a lot of people can learn a lot from how Stephen's setting these comps up.
Yeah, they
and
are.
The way he wants them running.
It is running very, very well. I mean, at the weekend, I did, not this week, whatever weekend it was, I'd obviously went down to the Natty Englands, and that was really good. I think it was so hard for Ash, because obviously it was his first ever big comp that he'd run, and there was like 130 people there.
Yeah, so Jesus Christ.
And like, some of the way that they ran the events, doing 5 at a time, fantastic, smashed through them. But then there was like certain events like the Zurcher Yoke into sled drag that had to be 2 at a time, and obviously trying to get through 130 people 2 at a time, it just took forever, and we all knew it was going to take forever, and that's just, you live and you learn, don't you? But yeah, it was still a very good comp, and it was done within a reasonable amount of time for the amount of athletes that were there. But yeah, I think UK's and Worlds will be nicely streamlined this year, because the thing is with that Natty pathway, whenever they have a comp, the next one always gets better. Like, they learn from them and they listen to people.
No.
Madness. Can you imagine listening?
I didn't know people did that.
Imagine listening to athletes and listening to their concerns and then changing things. Groundbreaking.
Can't understand it, but you know.
But yeah, they're very, very good at that, and like it was a good comp. The standard of the women is concerning.
Yeah.
Nah, just kidding. You're all fucked. Nah, it was a massively high standard, which is astonishing for its third year, really. It'll be super exciting to see how UK's and Worlds go this year. I think, I'll put it out there now, I think that natty pathway is going to take over as the main pathway in Strongman.
Yeah.
Probably within the next few years. There's obviously always going to be an untested pathway, which I think there needs to be, but I think that natty pathway is going to really thrive over the next few years. Push some boundaries.
I think that will absolutely be the place to be. Like, they'll probably have to limit capacity to some degree, so there's not like 130 fucking athletes there.
Well, that was the limited capacity.
Well, how many per class?
I think there was about, was it 20? 20 per class? Yeah. But that's a national qualifier, remember? Yeah. I think obviously the next option would be to do the national qualifier and split it in England, because I think the Scottish and the Irish and the Welsh one went pretty quickly, but obviously the English one, you're going to get the biggest amount of entries, aren't you?
Yeah.
So then at that point they could look at doing a Southern, Midlands and Northern.
Yeah.
And I think that would then deal with that problem.
Aye.
But you're always going to get loads of people at the qualifiers, but that's what you want, isn't it? That's where people start out, so you need that volume of people. Anyway, we've gone really off track there.
Water cuts.
Back to water cuts?
Yeah. What is the worst thing that you've seen in water cutting or heard about on the grapevine? Because we're not going to name any names. We
don't name names here.
Joey Sausage once cut a bit too much and he pissed blood.
Well, yeah.
And thought he was a clever dick and then had to go to the hospital.
That's fairly common, isn't it? We've heard pissing blood.
Shitting blood as well, though. Like, this is from men.
Oh.
If it's coming out your pee-pee and your poo-poo, you did a bad thing and you really
problems.
Like, come on, how?
Yeah, I think we've just seen. I think we'll explain. We had a little look, didn't we, before about like the research behind like water cunting and stuff, and it
water
does
cunting.
Water. Can't say that word.
It was a mistake.
Sorry, everybody. We're not cutting out there. Funny.
No.
But back to water cutting and the science.
We are not scientists.
We aren't scientists, so we're not going to try and hash this about. But if you go about, well, I've done it, so I'm going to add myself into this. That if I go about spouting that you're tricking your body into pissing more water in your water load and then you're dehydrating it and your body doesn't know what's going on, so it still keeps losing water, that is in fact incorrect.
Whoa.
Incorrectamundo.
Wow.
And it's to do with hormones and things. I think it's vaso something or other. A hormone that basically retains water. I'm not going to hash this out, but if you want to know about it, go to Shannon Smith's YouTube channel, Shannon's Nutrition, and she has a video.
Yeah, she's pretty smart. She's not like us.
She knows the things about the things.
She does the research first, and then she does the talking about the stuff.
Exactly. And I mean, by research, we literally read a few pages.
About
on
2
Google,
minutes before starting this podcast.
And we were like, research
right,
done.
we know what we're talking about, but we don't.
We clearly
really.
don't, yeah.
No.
So if you want to know how it scientifically works,
something to do with salt, and something to do with water, and something to do with hormones, and something to do with osmosis, and something to do with urination.
Yeah, all those things. So yeah, but basically, you drink a lot of water in your water load. So if you're gonna do a water load, let's start from the very beginning. So you're a little bit high. You shouldn't be too high out of your weight class.
High, like on drugs?
No. You're a little bit high on weight.
Oh, heavy. We're a little bit heavy.
You're a little bit chunky. You've not taken your weight cut seriously, and now you're a week out of competition.
A last minute Larry.
There's
always one.
What are you going to do? You're going to water load. You're going to start. First of all, I'll add this in. If you've left this till last minute and you're going to compete, you should have done at least a basic test of a water load and water cut to see how your body reacts.
I wanted to bring this up. I think that's a really good point to make. Like, if you're considering doing it, don't wait until the week of the competition to, put your body in an incredibly vulnerable state.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Test it first.
Yeah.
See how easy it is or how difficult it is. Not only do you mentally prepare yourself for what you're supposed to be going through or what you might potentially have to put yourself through, because hot baths and saunas are really, really difficult.
Really hard.
They're a struggle bus to get through.
Yeah, and I think people think it's going to be a walk in the park. And I think as well, a lot of you need to work out how your body works. So if you just download, like, go on Google and find a basic water cut protocol and think, I'll just do this a week out of competition, that might not work for you.
It might be very, very bad.
Everybody's bodies are different. Surprise, surprise. So you will react differently to someone else doing that same
I'm supposed to
water
be
cut.
competing tomorrow and I'm 5 kilos overweight. What do I do? Well, quit.
Yeah, because you're not going to fucking make it.
No.
But yeah, so test it out first. You don't have to do like a full water cut. Like, just do a day. Do a day at home where you've got nothing on. Drink 8 litres of water.
That's
see what your weight goes. Like.
That's a really good idea. And like fast for a day. See how much body weight you lose just by not eating anything, not having food in your gut.
Yeah, do a week of limiting fibre. See what happens. Like, you can test all these things out well before a comp day so that you know what sort of weight differences your body can make, and like just weigh yourself over and over again, because that's all I did. Like, I weigh myself morning, night time, see how my body fluctuates.
I think it's really interesting.
Get
as
to
long
learn
as
your
you're
body.
like, exactly. I think an important thing to really work on, like on the women's side, is please get over the number on the scales.
Yeah, massively.
Please let that go. And weigh yourself daily and just see it changing morning and night.
Yeah.
And understand the relationship that there is between what you weigh at night and what you weigh in the morning.
Yeah.
And like the differences that throughout the day, like, you know, if you've had a McDonald's that's really... You know what? McDonald's is quite low in salt now. It tastes shit. Why have they tried to improve the healthiness of their meals when nobody's going there to make good nunutritional choices?
That's why. Because no one's going there for good nutritional choices, so
But
they have
I
to
want
start.
to be salt loaded. I went there specifically after doing that fucking vertical kilometre
For salt.
for salty fries.
Didn't get them.
And it's a good job I've got an emergency packet of... Well, I've got like a bag in the glove box with condiments. You know, when you get spare condiments
I've
from
got
places.
a little salt pot, mate, yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, my car,
Because I get mad. I get really mad when there's no salt on my chips.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I agree. You need salt. But yeah, I think the weight on the scale is irrelevant, apart from the point of that you're competing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get it's a tricky thing to sort of get your head around and to get away from that. But I do think that strength training is a really good way to sort of get yourself away from weight on the scale and what your body can actually do instead of what it
exactly.
looks
It's a
like,
machine. It's not like it doesn't matter what the machine weighs. It matters what it can fucking do.
100%. I agree. But yeah. Anyway, back to water cutting. Where did we go? Where were we
Just
at?
testing things out. Out, weighing yourself day and night, seeing the differences and the fluctuations. Trying out like 8 litres of water in a day. And I think that in itself, drinking that much water is mind-numbing. And for me, I wouldn't be able to just go out and drink 8 litres in one day without preparing for it first.
See, I already drink about 3 to 4 litres of water a day.
I probably drink about 500 mils.
That's absolutely horrendous. You are awful. No.
I try.
This is why my waterloads have to be so big.
I'm just never thirsty.
Yeah, but you just
I'm
drink
thirsty
water.
right now.
It fills gaps. Just drink water just for funsies.
It's not that fun though. Why? Why do you like it so much?
It's just, I like being hydrated. I hate, if I start feeling thirsty, that's it. Game over. I'm done. I'm out. I hate life.
I think the issue I have when I realise how little water I've drank, it's usually about 7 o'clock at night, and then if I try and top up my water, I'm up all night pissing.
Do you not drink while you eat though?
No.
I can't eat a meal without at least a litre of water.
Well, I mean, I'm not eating Gandhi's flip-flops.
Well,
so
I don't
need to wash it down with anything.
I don't eat dry food. I just can't eat without drinking as well. Like, if I go out for a meal, I'll always ask for tap water, and they'll usually have to refill it like 3 or 4 times.
I will always ask for a tap water in a restaurant, and I
just
will
leave
always
it.
leave it.
Awful. Awful.
Because I have a glass of red wine and
No.
bring the rest of the bottle as well. Thank you.
Well, I think then that also goes into your testing your water, your tolerance to how much you need to water load
Yeah.
with then. Because if you don't drink a lot of water on a day-to-day basis, you're probably going to find a fairly big benefit over 4 or 5 litres of water in a day instead of 8. If you're pushing over 10 and 12 litres, you're a div. I'll put that out there right now. You shouldn't be drinking that much water. No one, a 200 kilo man, doesn't need to be drinking 12 litres of water a day.
No.
We're in danger zones there. So I'll put that out there. That is too much. But also, me specifically, I only water load for 1 day. Because I've found if I water load for more than 1 day, my body actually starts to retain the water.
Whoa.
And I actually end up coming out heavier.
Yeah.
Whereas if I do it for 1 day and then come back round and stop drinking, then I'm laughing. But that's again to do with the vasopressin or something, the hormone, because it's to do with you suppress it by drinking loads of water, but then it obviously builds back up when your body's like trying to get back to homeostasis. And that depends on like your metabolic rate and how fast you can get back to. So my body must be able to get back quite quickly, which is why it doesn't really work for me doing more than a 1 day water load.
Yeah.
But I only know that through trial and error.
Well, there you go. That's just it.
Yeah.
And I've done 5 days worth of water loading before. Only more recently, like last year, I think I did it.
You probably just felt mint. Your body was probably
I
just
felt
like,
all
wow.
right, yeah. It was just like,
This is what being hydrated
thank
feels
God
like.
for this. Let's do this again. Yeah, I started the Sunday before the competition. The competition was on like a Saturday or a Sunday, I can't remember. Started then, gradually built it up, and then completely cut it out to like a litre the day before, and was nil by mouth that day, like food-wise, like no food was going in. And then, job done.
I always do that
crack
as
on.
well. I do food cut. I don't eat anything on the day. Usually if I'm water loading, I don't eat much through the water load. I'll eat a couple of bits and pieces, but nothing. And as well, like, there's also the option of like sodium loading and cutting. I don't do this at all. I don't pay attention to it at all, I'm not going to lie. But
I'm really salty anyway, so like for me it was just cut out the salt, cut down to 1 litre of water and cut out the food completely
yeah,
the day before.
exactly
and then
the same.
both pissing every half hour.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same. I don't, the sodium, it's an interesting one, and like it's definitely something. I think Shannon explains that in her video as well about the sodium loading and then cutting. But also be aware that when you do that, so I've known someone who did, they were doing a water cut protocol that someone else had given them, and they got cut out caffeine and cut out salt, but cut it out so far in advance. And like, be warned, if you start water loading and you're cutting out your salt dead early, you're just going to cramp. Like, it's literally just science. You will just cramp and feel awful.
Yeah.
So be aware. If you're going to do it, you need to work it out properly and set it out like...
Certainly, like, because my protocol is like I'm dieting up and about 2 weeks out, I'll start watching what I'm eating.
Yeah.
A lot more carefully. Like everything is accounted for, and I start clenbuterol 2 weeks out just to help speed things along.
Yeah.
And because you're natty, you don't know what that's like, but
Nope.
it's like you're about to have a heart attack constantly.
That sounds like fun.
But it like speeds up your metabolic rate, so your heart's racing like fuck.
Great.
It gives you the shakes.
Oh, lovely. These all sound like great things
And
to have.
it gives you cramps. So if you don't keep on top of your water intake and your salt intake, then you just like holding the pen and your hand just turns into something, you know, like you're being tasered. It's a bad time. So yeah,
Awful.
cutting out salt is not.
Yeah, you need to be careful with cutting out salt.
You just need to be careful.
This is moving on to our next bit. Like, so that was your basic water cut protocol. You water load, you water cut, you do your weigh in. And like, as a final note on this, when you rehydrate and refeed, don't be a knobhead. Don't just go to Domino's and smash a load of pizza and think you're going to feel fine.
You've got to start with the fluids.
Start with your fluids. Get your water in nice and slowly. Don't try and hammer it in. Don't try and hammer loads of fizzy drinks and loads of different stuff in. Get your water in sensibly. Make sure you've got electrolytes. Diurite if you're really dehydrated. All the normal stuff. And then eat what you would normally eat. Don't do this whole, carb loading before a comp, because you'll just feel like shit the next day. Your body's not used to it. You've just dragged your body to the worst possible state it could be in.
Carb loading before a comp, though. It's strongman. Come on, it's not a marathon.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't need it. You need to just not be shitting all day.
I think that's a really valid point. So, after you've weighed in, to eat what you would normally eat is probably the biggest takeaway. Not the biggest takeaway, because don't fucking water cut. Just lose weight, you fat bastard. Just lose the weight.
Get down to that weight
and
class.
diet down to the weight class. Like, what's wrong with you? God, 20 clem heavier than your fucking weight class, and then trying to cut it all off.
I know. Well,
with
this
water.
is
What dodgy bastards. Nah, that's just daft.
Yeah, this is the next point that we'll go into. That it is potentially life-threatening as well. Like, we're making jokes about it, but
you will die if you do it wrong.
You can die. Like, and that's not... And it's, as well, like, you can potentially cause irreversible damage to your body by doing it. And, like, it's all well, like, I'm just dehydrating a little bit. It's not that bad. If you do it consistently, like, I'm aware, I've probably damaged my kidneys doing
By
six
doing
water cuts
six
last
in a year, yeah.
100%. And I'm fully aware of that and was aware of it before I did it. I'm just stupid. So, looking now, like, obviously I've actually got this year, I decided to not be a divvy, get a nutritionist. Bex, another shout out, you lucky girl.
She also knows what it's like to do a shit water cut.
Yeah, 100%.
So she fucking knows.
She knows the score, and she's, to be fair, the like main person who's at me at the moment. Like, I've had a good week this week, but last week I was off the rails. And she was like, we don't want to water cut into this, like, axle record. Because she's done a record. She knows what overhead records are like. And she's like, the last thing we need to do is water cut into this. And I'm fully behind her on it. I know I shouldn't do it. And so I'm actively trying to diet it off. But, yeah, like, I know I've made damage. So I'm going to make a change this year so that doesn't happen again. And I'm going to sit near my weight class. And I'm going to be sensible about how I cut into competitions. Because I think, as well, my performance is impeded. Definitely. My performances have been impeded by water cutting. Because, like, Ben said it to me loads, you're dragging your body into the worst possible position it's been in and then expecting yourself to perform at 100% the next day.
Yeah.
Which, like, in what world does that make sense?
Yeah.
None of them.
It's proper daft.
The stupidest.
Don't be a silly goose.
So, yeah, well, there's a time and a place for a water cut. If you can avoid it, I would avoid it at all costs. And yeah, it's when you look at the risk factors that you can have, it's not good. It ruins your blood. It gives you a higher chance of having a stroke. All you strong men on loads of tren, we're looking at you. And yeah, just try and avoid it.
I just don't think that it's needed to put yourself through that much stress the day before you're about to do something that's really stressful.
Yeah. You're
just you're gonna have a bad time.
You're prolonging
Come on,
stress,
guys.
aren't you? So yeah.
But yeah, the whole eating like normal, eating what you can digest, what you know you can digest. Like, I've got a really weird gut, and it spazzes out with things like dairy and like heavily processed foods and gluten. Oh my god! I bloat, I fart like a fucking machine. And it makes me feel disgusting. Like, I just feel really uncomfortable in my skin. Yeah. And that's not a nice position to be in when you're about to compete. You know, feeling like you're about to have a big, giant turd every time you put your belt on.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you on that. Like, I've had to slam some Imodiums in last year. Jesus Christ. I'll have taken well over recommended dose every single competition because I am just pooping all day. And that's from doing stupid refeeds. To be fair, again, UKNS last year was my best one because me and Heather had a shepherd's pie the night before and I just digested it lovely. Felt great the next day. Everything was fine. I can't remember what I had for breakfast or anything, but I remember just feeling not like I was going to shit myself all day at that comp, and it was fantastic. Europe's, on the other hand, I reckon I dropped maybe 6 Imodiums on the first day.
God damn.
I was not well.
No, you won't have shat for a week.
I did. I shat the next day.
Did you?
Shitting through them.
How?
Because I'm just immune to
God
Imodiums.
damn.
I've had that many of them.
Becca, this is not good. You
I'm
shouldn't
aware.
do that.
This is why I'm not doing it this year.
Good.
I'm a new
Bex,
athlete.
don't allow it. Do not allow her
She's
to
not
do
gonna let me.
that.
We've got a plan. We're a man's with plans. But yeah, anyway, water cuts. I think we've pretty much, we've covered a lot of it, some of it.
We've both done it. It's a bad time when it has to be big. Don't make it big. Diet at least 12 weeks out from your competition, and then it won't be so severe. And also, just maybe consider going up a weight class if it's difficult for you to lose weight.
Well, I'll put that back out there again. If you are in your first, or even to be fair, second year of competing, and you're just doing it for a bit of a hobby, a bit of fun, nothing serious, there's no pressure on you, don't even think about a weight cut.
No.
Don't even think about trying to get into a lower weight class because the weights seem easier.
It's a really it's a fast track route to not having fun.
100%, and I'll tell you that from experience.
We have both.
We've been there.
Had a bad time.
We've listened, we've heard what people have said, we ignored it, we did it anyway, and it was awful. So listen to the people at the beginning and just don't do it.
Do as I say, not as I do.
100%.
Yeah. Fuck that shit.
Right. Let's call this and then move on to some silly goosing.
All right.
So we'll be back in a minute. Bye.
Yeah.
Diddly do.
Indeed.
We're back.
Hey.
So to open our silly goose segment, Emma Grunnell has requested a song which I think we're going to try and get made by a professional. But for now, you'll just have to do with a goose noise. Do you want to do your best goose impression, Jenny?
I'm not really sure how one sounds like.
I'll do goose impression, but I'll have to move the microphone away because it might actually burst people's eardrums. That's
I like
what geese
that.
sound like. That's a real goose noise.
Okay, that's good.
And now on to silly goose question. So our silly goose question of the day is from a meme that I've seen. I think this microphone's too close to my face. I'll move it away a bit. And that is that what would you do if the nuke didn't kill you? So if we got nuked, you didn't die, what would you do?
So, my dad, as you know, likes to send random emails about some fun stuff, some interesting stuff, some really damn right scary fucking shit. And he sent me a link to a documentary that came out on it was, like a fictional documentary. So it's like
A documentary about something not real.
Yeah.
Just basically a story then.
About
Just a film.
a nuclear war and Britain being bombarded by nuclear warfare and the aftermath of it. And it is fucking brutal.
We'll have to find the name of this documentary so I can watch it.
Didn't I mention this to you a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, I think you've told me about this before. I need to have a deep dive.
So,
into it.
I have a good idea of what I would do if it didn't kill me. I would kill myself as soon as fucking possible.
Oh.
You do not want to be around.
Well, maybe you've been skewed, though, because you've watched that thing.
I absolutely have. But if you read into the nuclear fallout... the
radiation.
Everybody's fucked.
It would get you at some point anyway. You're limited in time frames. But
you need to be in northern Norway.
I think the point of the
in a
meme,
cave.
The point of the meme was that at a certain temperature, in a certain zone, all frozen pizzas would cook.
That is good.
From a fallout from the nuke.
So we need to go to the nearest Tesco's.
Yeah, go into Tesco's and see if all the pizzas have been cooked from frozen.
Now that livens things up a bit. So I'd go and find the pizza that is perfectly cooked in its box. And when I start feeling a bit ill, I'm gonna kill myself.
Fair enough. I think I'd probably try and survive for as long as possible and just hope that instead of getting radiation poisoning, I'd metamorphosize into something else. Have you seen Annihilation? You know that film?
No.
It's got, is it Natalie Portman in it? That's pretty good.
I don't know what human that is either.
She's in, is it Black Swan?
I don't
Black Swan?
know what
White
that is.
Swan?
Tell me more about what it is.
It's like, it's a movie, I haven't watched it for ages and ages, but it's a pretty good movie, and it's all about their, like, I can't even remember what happens. They go into this place that's had, like, a nuclear fallout, and everything's really weird and different, and, like, everything's, like, what's it called, where they're, like, malformed? That's not the word.
Deformed.
Deformed. No, where you're, like, they've evolved, but different. Bit weird.
Evolution.
I don't think it's that, no. There's a word and I've lost it. It's gone. Left my brain. Must have been a lie. But anyway, it's a pretty good film, and that, like, makes it...
Disfigures?
Nah, it's not that either. But that film makes it look pretty cool and interesting. So that's maybe worth a watch, because that might change your mind back.
Annihilation.
Yeah. It's definitely worth a watch. It's based on a book as well, and the books are actually pretty good too. I read them.
I didn't know you could read. That is a revelation. Like, you do have a lot of books.
I like
And that
reading.
Stephen King one is just not what I was expecting at all.
Have you read it?
No, I'm about a third of the way through.
It's good, isn't it? Is it not your vibe though?
It took a while, and I was like, I'll pursue this because I know where you're going, Stephen.
Yeah.
I know what you're trying to do here. You're laying the foundations.
Yeah.
Aren't you? But I read also the blurb about it, and I just wanted it to get to the fucking point.
Fair
And now
enough.
I'm there. Now I'm in the alternate dimension.
It gets good.
Yeah.
I really
It's
like that.
becoming weird, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I can pay attention better now.
Yeah. For reference, everybody, this is Fairy Tale by Stephen King, which I lent to Jenny, because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I don't read fiction, and I need to start doing that, so...
I'm trying to enlighten her.
Yeah.
But it's very different from Stephen King's normal stuff, which, to be fair, I read and terrify myself.
Oh, do
Like,
you?
I have nightmares. Yeah, I'm really
Okay.
bad. I
I just don't know how scary they're supposed to be, those books.
Well,
Because again, I just don't read fiction, apart from Harry Potter.
I'm a bit of a wussy, and I'm scared. I won't watch a scary... I will watch a scary movie, but I'll have nightmares about it for weeks.
Oh, will you?
When I watched War of the Worlds when I was a kid, I had nightmares for months.
Oh, well, that's different when you're a kid. Like, yeah, they are scary.
A kid, I was
I
probably
think
like
I watched
12.
It. It was my first scary movie.
Oh, God,
like, I was in
terrifying.
single digits.
The old one?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, no.
An
No.
Alien as well, when I was in single digits, I'm sure.
No, that's
Because I
too
watched that
scary
with
for
my
me.
dad. No, did I? No, it's when... It was a long fucking time. I was in single digits.
I think
Maybe like
Kill me off.
9.
No, not for me.
They're
no.
not a problem.
No.
But
I'm
you're a
not
wussy.
I am a bit of a wussy, yeah. It's not for me. What was the question?
What would you do if the nuclear explosion didn't kill you? So you'd be getting pizza as well?
I'd be getting pizza and then trying to survive, yeah. I'd be hunting people, though. The minute the food ran out. I'd be
To eat the people?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'd go feral straight away.
You already are.
It wouldn't take me much to push me over that edge.
No.
Straight out, feral. I'd be like the guy off Mad Max.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Creepy and weird.
Yeah.
Drinking milk. No, not that. I'm not that creepy. But yeah, no. That's it for Silly Goosing, I guess. We got anything
Yeah,
else,
I
Dad?
guess it was pretty blunt, wasn't it?
So you'd kill
I'm going
yourself?
to kill myself. I'm going to eat some pizza first and then kill myself.
And I'm
And
gonna
you're
eat some
going to kill
pizza.
people.
And kill people. Let's just really hope we don't get nuked, eh?
Well, it would be lovely if it didn't happen.
If you get nuked or get drafted.
Well, you haven't seen me, so...
I'm not here.
See ya.
I don't exist anymore.
No, you
Goodbye.
don't. You don't. Are you even registered as a person living
Nope.
in the UK?
Well, even if they did find me, my ID don't look nothing like me, so I reckon I could prove,
No, fair.
try and argue it wasn't me. That's definitely not me. Look at that picture.
Where would you go? I guess that's not a topic for discussion, really, is it? Because it could happen.
Do you reckon we'll get done for talking about trying to get out of national service?
Well, I think a lot of people will get fucking done
To be fair, I think
because they're
everyone's
currently talking about it.
everyone's trying to get out of doing national service.
Fuck that. Fuck off.
Fuck that.
You silly old men.
Everybody just
having
leave.
arguments about nothing.
Everybody leave everybody alone.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Be Switzerland.
Yeah. Let's
Come
all
on.
be Switzerland and have no problems.
Just settle down. Just roll a joint
Well,
and have a smoke. Pass it around. Arguments done because you're laughing at something in the fucking corner. Just settle down, smoke some weed.
Fair point.
It'll all be right.
Fair point.
Yeah.
On that note, I think that'll be the end of the silly goosing.
I guess we've silly goosed out.
We've goosed out. So, yeah, cool. Follow us on Instagram. Send us suggestions. Don't tell us how much you hate the podcast because we don't care.
The end.
Bye.